Hi, Dimes.
Welcome back to another episode of Virtual Courtside with Dirk and Harris. I'm Harris. That's Dirk. And we got to talk about the playoffs, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, we have made it. We didn't do a playoff preview because we're a bunch of hoes. Is that bad tasting Pepsi?
It doesn't taste very good.
That's very strange. We had some wonderful 5v5 action tonight. We will go through all four of our series, and then obviously afterwards we will be covering the four series that we will be seeing tomorrow. But we had a wonderful start to our 5v5 playoff extravaganza. What did you make of our first night before we get into the series?
I think it all made sense.
Yeah.
Except for the Lakers pushing to a game 3. That didn't make much sense. I think like the one series that was most interesting to me was probably Cavs Wiz. Because like I know that like the Wiz, they've been good this year. I just don't think that they've been honestly like that good as like we've been kind of making it out to be. I think that while Benzo during group play, regular season, everything added in, of course, right? That's where people see them have phenomenal stats. It is so hard to do that at a playoff level. Mm-hmm. Like once you get into like the nitty gritty of the actual competition. And I think you saw that a little bit today, kind of like, you know, you're the rookie of the year while you have been playing great. It is so fucking tough, especially against the Cavs team who is probably the best defense that we saw today. So I think that was the one that was a little bit, I shouldn't say funky, a little bit more competitive because I think that we were just waiting for like the Wiz to kick it on. But I genuinely think that a lot of our mindset with Wizards District Gaming just comes from that 2-year stretch with that team and Awkward and Dini and seeing them make game-changing plays like constantly. They would, maybe the other team would have a run, or we brought it up in the game, I think it was game 2. They were down by 10. There was like 2 minutes to go. And I'm like, this was the Wiz 3 years ago. We're like, oh my fucking God. Like, they can make the comeback. Yeah. They don't have that this year. They didn't have that at all this year.
They didn't have the defensive juice. And it's surprising considering the 5 guys they have on their floor or on their team are all plus defenders.
I think that the more I see Awkward and Dini play, and while they're phenomenal individually, the more I sit there and I'm like, man, having fucking Day Fry with you changes everything.
And it's kind of hard to say because like Dave Fry's great and Nudini and Awkward are both also great, but I think you're right. There's a real difference between having him out there and everything else. Let's actually just jump into that series because that's the series that I wanted to talk the most about anyway. So I'm going to grade this out from like offense, defense for both teams, okay? I'm going to give the Cavs defense an A. I thought they game planned perfectly against this Wiz team. Like you could not have come up. Shout out to Coach Mike. Shout out to Big Face. You could not have game planned better for this team defensively. They did a great job on hedging on those Benzo threes that he loves to take coming off of screens. They did a great job of making him, or forcing him into weird decisions. They did a really, really good job of staying home on Nudini and Awkward for the most part. Awkward especially. I thought he was an offensive nothing that series. And that's huge because he's usually their second or third leading scorer. I thought that it was really huge of the Cavs to take him out of the game, but
only baskets he got were on cuts.
Yeah, that was
it.
Like
there was like the off ball and he would wing cut, and like that he no presence from behind the arc whatsoever.
Yeah. I thought the Cavs did great, so I'll give the Cavs defense an A. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna give the Cavs offense a D because I'm telling you, man, their offense tonight was bad. They did a good enough job defensively of keeping the Wizards away from their leads, and they were able to get a lot of twos. But so much of their offense, I felt at least, was a whole lot of luck. And it was a lot of throwing at type of Nudini and them just sometimes not getting steals or just whizzing right past them, and them getting contested dunks at the rim. I swear, Shift Day, DJ Too Cold, and Slaughter like barely missed a dunk for the entire series. But I thought Killy was just okay. I thought Antoine was kind of a zero that game. I thought he was facilitating well. Scoring, I'm not even sure if he broke 20 points combined for the series.
No, I don't think he did.
I don't think so.
I think he had, 5 points game 2, and then game 1, that was where it was just TB and Slaughter carrying like the entire load.
I'll be honest, everything I saw about that team on film offensively is still there. They are a brutal watch offensively, but their defense was so goddamn good tonight that it just didn't really matter like what the Wizards were trying to do defensively. Like they just did not have the buckets to take down the Cavs.
And like while their defense is that good, the deeper that you get into this and some of the guards you play, like your defense is great, but if you don't have Antoine or at least Killy carrying the offensive load along with you,
Killy was great in the second half of game 2. I'll give that to him. He definitely closed it out.
But that's the tough part. And honestly, it's one of the main criticisms that we've had of them is Antoine like needs to find a better flow. Didn't have that. Luckily, the defense stepped up. And honestly, I'm really impressed with how good this defense is. Because my biggest thing, I remember draft night and when everything got like solidified. Well, not necessarily with this team, but like when everything happened, I'm kind of like, man, I've seen this before. This is T-Wolves fucking 2.0 with lesser guards.
Yeah.
That's basically what it was. But even when the first year that they were together, they weren't anything special defensively. That was the year where their offense was just so much better than fucking everybody else's. They outscored them. So coming into this year, I was like, it's going to be probably a little bit of the same.
Sure.
They've kind of blown my expectations away. Like, I know how good individually each of them are. But again, we had just seen it a couple years prior. So to see them make that leap and so this would be their second year of those guys playing together. Because they only played 1 year together on the T-Wolves.
I felt very strongly that DJ Too Cold should have been a DPOI finalist. And to be honest, after watching it again tonight, I am absolutely shocked he didn't get it. He is, without question, one of the 2 to 3 best defenders in the world. It's unbelievable. He's so good.
What was wild?
He's so good.
He had 4 fouls at the end of the first quarter, and I'm like, bro, it's going to be fucking limiting. He's still being as aggressive. He finished the game with 5 fouls. So, like, for the rest of the way, he only picked up 1.
He's so
on
good.
top of that, had 3 steals and a block in both of the games that they had.
Genuinely, is it a hot take to say he's the best player on that team?
No.
I don't think
so.
And I think what you saw tonight, both in his shooting and in his defense, is that it looks a little bit different when power forwards are taking over games this year versus last year. Because last year, power forwards could take over games, and you're like, holy fuck, what is going on? This year, it's a little bit more under the radar, a little bit quieter of a tone, but he is still unbelievable. He was causing so many problems. They completely took out the Benzo type like pick and roll slips. Like that was like a huge part of their offense. DJ nearly eliminated that from the series. I thought he was so good. He was the best player on the court tonight.
The way he played the angles on the slips today was great.
Amazing.
Like, there's some guys that are still struggling, or maybe not. Like, there's differences, right? There's guys who are just not even in position. They'll reach for steal. Like, oh, the game fucked me over. Like, no, you were just in awful positioning. Then you have some other ones who are in good positioning. Maybe they don't get the steals. Like, okay, like you 100% should have had it. Not even going to be mad at that. DJ's today, like his success rate on the way that he was playing, like Type would slip and he would catch himself on the side where the ball's going to go. So if like Benzo's passing it from the left side, Type's guy's going to swing to the left and grab it. DJ was like already knowing that was what was going to happen. So he was like playing it to where even if he didn't reach, it was still going to bump into him and they would get something. So that he was special. Again, I don't know how much these guys look at awards. I'm like, man, I didn't get fucking nominated. It's going to drive my motivation to go out there and do better. But he was so good today. I mean, honestly, again, like him and TB were just great in every facet. Maybe not so much like the offensive end for DJ because we still didn't have to see a whole lot of him from the offensive end. TB was great that game 1, game 2, a little shaky, but hit some big shots down the stretch to kind of close some things out.
Yeah, TB and DJ tonight is when you combine elite talent with excellent film study and fantastic coaching. Mm-hmm. When you combine those 3 things, you put on a defensive performance like we saw tonight. Shift A, honestly, what it came down to for me is that the Cavs seemed more prepared for that matchup than the Wiz did. Like, it just seemed like the Wiz, preparation-wise, figured that they were going to walk in, they were going to play their game, and they were going to win. And the Cavs said, no, we're actually going to change the way that we play defense. We're going to attack you differently, and you're not going to be ready for it. And they weren't. They weren't ready for it all night. Just as the way that, with how high Shift A was playing, Slaughter was helping the back end. I mean, DJ was just sitting on the free throw line for most of the game, just plucking passes out of everywhere. He was great. He won them that playoff series tonight. I was really impressed by him. In memoriam for the Wiz. A great redemption season for them. A great rebuilding season for them. I'm going to make a hot take, and this might be crazy. I think it might actually be time to split up Awkward and Dini. Not because they're not great players, but I think sometimes in sports, familiarity can become the enemy, and you get a little bit too comfortable with the guys that are around you, and you don't grow. Yeah. And I think that we kind of saw. I don't even want to call it the end, but I think we've seen the Nudini and Awkward relationship officially come to fruition, and I think it might be time for the Wiz to just try something different defensively. Try to get somebody behind Awkward who's a little bit more defensively minded. I thought Nudini had a decent offensive night tonight, but I just think it might just be time to shift gears a little bit with that partnership and try to find a good home for both of them. I'm not sure if that duo is really what they need it to be anymore.
I think what like the weird part about it too, like they go off the back-to-back titles. Day Friday retires, and I remember hearing rumors all the time that Awkward was trying to get out at that point.
Right.
So it's like cool, like you know you ended up sticking together, but again, it just shows how key a piece like Dave Fry can be for that, because they have not been anywhere near the level that they played at back.
Like Type was good, and defensively they were fine. Well, but like, there's a big difference.
That's what I'm saying. Like the style of Type's defense is similar to Dave Fry's, or how aggressive they are. I just think Dave Fry's more high IQ with rotations and like being more
call outs too. He's so loud.
Yeah, I think for Type, that's where he's a little bit more conservative. Hasn't taken that leap. He's always been one of the best defenders at center, but he has never taken over that leap of the new age 2K of like getting rotations down packed and being able to swing
he is
around.
A corner defending center who comes off the side for rebounds. He is not a I'm going to tell you what the hell you're supposed to be doing defensively kind of center. It's just a different style.
So I mean, I kind of agree with you, right? Like, how long are you just going to keep two guys together and keep getting the same result? Especially too, right? This is where I don't want to say like I feel bad for the Wiz, but we've been in their hometown for 2 years now, and they haven't done shit.
They haven't won anything.
And that's got to feel fucking awful.
It's got to hurt.
At least like when we're in Indiana of all fucking places. Hey, the Pacers won something.
Yeah, wow, that was fun. Like, that was really fun. That was pretty cool.
They won something. We're in New York. The Knicks ended up winning something. So I think that's also like a really disappointing part. Probably has to be a little bit of a wake up call. Like, okay, something's got to change. It's just a matter of like, okay, what do we want to build around? Is it Deanie? Is it awkward? For me, it'd probably be awkward.
Yep.
I wouldn't say like I don't think Deanie's the guys you, especially at a power forward, you stick him. It's like, okay, like who do you want? I want to go with the guy who is a proven like one-on-one defender. You've seen what he is capable of when he is playing at his best. I think that when Awkward's at his peak, it beat Deanie when he was at his peak.
Yeah, I think for me, it's also just, this year, and you see this in sports all the time, this year was a blending of the two generations of Wiz DG, right? You're bringing in Benzo, you're bringing in this new style of offense, this high tempo, high possession, just fast three-point shooting based offense, and you're kind of blending it with the Wizards of old, with the slow defensive style, the Be Rich Awkward Nudini thing. And I just think we had our blending year. It got them to the playoffs. They all won a decent amount of money. They made the semifinals of the tip-off. They did all right. But now that blending is over, it's time to fully commit to the new generation. Yeah. And I'm very interested to see what the Wiz do this offseason.
I think everything kind of played out as expected in terms of, I think one of the things I had on draft night, I was like, Benzo is a phenomenal player, like all around, showed off a lot of his chops. When you have B-Rich on your team, you have to have a guard who is like how Ant is with B Smooth, which is why I was kind of surprised that when B-Rich did go to Pistons GT, it was like didn't see him utilized, because that's what Ant loves to do, is have guys like that. It's just, I think B-Rich is now seeing the struggles of like, fuck, I'm great. I was part of fucking 2 championships. I need to be able to put the ball down the floor and go get a bucket. By the way, it's literally almost here.
Yeah, Foods, I'm here. All right, let's pause. All right, so that's, now that we're back with our food, that's Cavs Wiz. Shout out to the Cavs. Great defensive game. They get the Heat tomorrow. We'll talk about that in a little bit. We don't need to spend too much time on Celtics Nets. We didn't watch the fucking series.
No.
Here's how I think it went. The Nets have two offensive plays. Green shoot 3, walnut slip. The Celtics said, hey, you're not going to do that. And they have like 4 other ways to score, and the Celtics are just better, and they won.
Yeah,
pretty easy. It seemed like a pretty easy series.
Every time we got a glimpse in, it was close in game 1, and then everything just started to really slowly dwindle away.
Yeah, by the end of that series, it was kind of sad. The Nets clearly gave up, and the Celtics dominated. We'll talk a little bit more about the Celtics when we talk about the Raptors series. Let's quickly talk Pistons-Lakers. I actually think we did so much analysis on that series during the series that I'm kind of analyzed out. Honestly, that series came down to Ant's. I said this to you in the lobby. CB13 is the MVP. Ant's the best player in the world.
Yeah.
I just don't think there's anybody else in the league who can truly do what he does to teams. He almost had a double-double at the end of the first quarter of Game 3. He completely demoralized that Lakers team throughout the course of that game just through his shot making. He's the only... I honestly, he's really the only guy on that floor-spacing slasher who can consistently shoot from deep. Mm-hmm. Bear can't do it. Cease was doing it to start the year. He can't do it anymore. None of the other 5-out guards even came close to the amount of deep threes that he hits. Beast move is amazing. JT gave me a look tonight when I said that Beast move can't dribble. He really can't. He's got a couple moves in his bag, but like just to create like a slightly more open look, he's still the best catch-and-shoot guy that we have in the league, for sure.
It is. Well, that's the thing, too. Like, anybody who's watched Beast Move, we've seen it from him over the years in the league. Even like season 1 when he had to play point guard for a little bit with Warriors Gaming Squad, or like when the secondary ball handler started becoming more of a thing. The man's a dribble head. Like, he can dribble the air out of the ball. He just doesn't need to with Detroit.
Need to.
Like, there's never a time where they get put in the spot where it's like, beast move, go get us a bucket.
Do you know what he is? I'm going to make a football comparison here. You won't get this. He's a one-cut running back, which means that he probably has the ability to hit like 15 juke moves and 10 spin moves, but he doesn't need to. He just needs to hit you with one move, and all of a sudden he's open. It's very simple.
It's just so much off-ball damage that they can get away with that he doesn't have. Like, if he wanted to, like, you could put him on point guard or shooting guard, whatever fucking build. He can dribble with the best of them. But, I mean, that's a good sign that we don't have to see that side of Beast Move.
Correct.
Honestly, it's just if they keep it just so basic with him. I mean, I'm sure that probably feels good for them. But even when Ant has bad games, it's still never, oh, damn, Beast Move, take the ball. It's Ant trying to set up Beast Move to try to get something going. So I just think they're great. I'd say the way Ant plays and the stats that he put up is probably the most Chalk-like player that we've had since Chalk ended up exiting the league. And I think Ant's doing it on a harder league build. I think he's doing it on a harder competition too. So I'd say that he probably has the edge over top of what Chalk had.
Yeah.
Like, I sit there's some players in this league that I look at and I'm like, man, what if they were in the league like season 3, season 4?
Dude, Ant would literally average 35 and 20.
So
that would have been nuts.
I like what I saw. I really just hate, like, I think when it's all said and done, like, if the league ever comes to an end and we look at this Pistons GT team, their demise is going to be game ones. You can't win.
First halves of game one.
You can't win a championship if you're just dropping game ones at how
or
bad
playing
they
as
play.
playing as poorly as they
Which
do.
is crazy because even when I played with Ant, like when we played retail, we always would go down a fucking game and it would come back and win a series. I'm like, why do we do this to ourselves? Like, it's not a fun situation to be in, constantly being like under pressure.
Honestly, he uses the first game to kind of feel out the other team and see what they're going to throw at him. But honestly, I think the Pistons did what they needed to do tonight. Their defense looked really good in that game 3. They really started to ramp up the turnovers. They still give up more wide open corner threes than I think any other team in the league combined. It's insane how many open corner threes they give up.
The Pistons' issue is when they start to get on a big run, they start playing crackhead defense.
They get so cocky.
Yeah. They'll go
so
they'll like a 16-point lead and they'll just give up back-to-back threes to bring it to 10. I'm like, why?
And then they'll do a stupid turnover. They'll let up a 5-0 run, and all of a sudden their 15-point lead is 6. And you're like, what the fuck? What just happened? They're a very strange team. But they took care of business tonight, and that Lakers team, I don't care that they won the ticket. The basketball gods are smiling because that team is bad. That team does. I don't know if it's like a communication problem. Nobody on that team plays team defense. It is 5 individual defenders trying to defend team offense. And it has pained me all year that we had to watch a lot of Lakers this year. We watched a lot of Lakers 5v5. They stink. And good riddance to that team. They could not defend all year. Their offense was a nightmare. Shifty Kai, I'm sorry. This was the worst season of Kai's career.
Yep.
Fives wise. Without question.
Was it worse than his year with Gen G?
Yes. In the year in Gen G, he averaged over 30.
Oh.
Even he was the number 1 scorer on that team. He was top 10 in the league in scoring. This year, percentages are way off. Steals are way down. Assists are a little bit up. Points are way down.
Which I thought with
Horrible
Dynasty
season.
playing bad, I thought that like he was going to fucking...
For Kai's standards, for the standards that we hold that man to, that was an awful season by his standards. Legitimately awful. And they still made the playoffs. Give me one comment on the Lakers, then we're done talking about the Lakers. Because I do not want to talk about this team anymore.
I think that...
I'm done with the Lakers 5v5 team. We've talked about them so much this year.
Yeah, I mean,
done.
I think from the start, they probably knew how bad Dynasty was in scrims. Like, there's just no way that they were like...
He wasn't even their biggest problem by the end of the year.
But I think that they would have just been better off if they just established Kai as the point guard from day one going on. I don't think that the season would have rapidly improved. I think that when you have one of the best players in the world with the ball in his hands 90% of the time, I think that creates things. But also, yeah, I mean, defensively, I had a lot of like high hopes because you had the core 3 out there in 3v3, except Trelly B. So I was like, man, like their defense is going to be pretty damn good, but
they played defense like they were still playing threes.
Yeah,
it felt like it was 3-on-5 a lot of the time with that
their
team.
stage presence when they're winning is fucking great. As soon as they start losing, I didn't see any of those guys up and talking as much as they were like pointing and laughing at the Nets in the ticket final up on stage like we're champs now. They can't say anything to us, but like
that team legitimately bothered me this year because it felt like it was a whole round table of guys pointing the finger at everybody else instead of them just locking down and realizing, hey guys, our team defense is awful.
Yeah.
We all need to defend. The reason their offense was so bad this year is because their defense was so bad. I think behind the Pistons and maybe like 2 other teams, they had one of the 3 to 4 worst defenses of any team I watched on film this year. They never had a plan. They never game planned. It was just ugly. It was ugly. All right, I don't want to talk about the Lakers anymore. Let's talk about the Bucks-Pacers series, because that series was awesome. It was a great series. Shout out Subgoated for missing, I think, the worst free throws you could ever miss, I think, in 2K League history. I cannot remember bigger free throws that had been missed. Because if the Pacers, if they hit those free throws and they win in double overtime, they win the series. I think at least. But JT was right. The second he missed that first free throw, the series was over. Because you can't come back from something like that. And it's crazy because Sub was the best player on the Pacers in that game 1. He was their leading scorer. He had a bunch of steals. He was causing chaos. But those missed free throws, man. Yikes.
When 2K gives you a bailout,
you gotta take it.
You gotta take it, because if you fuck up, congratulations.
JT showed us a message from a league player who will not be named, who mentioned that build that Subgoated is on, 99 free throw.
I'll have to check that, because later on in the message, he said that he's on a different one, potentially. So, I mean, we'd have to go through and look at the archetypes, but, I mean, even then, man, 1 for 3?
Everybody in the chat was like, but he missed the third one on purpose because he had to. I don't care.
You missed the first.
He missed the first one. I don't care. Shout out to the Bucks, man. We've been waiting all year for a series like that from them. All year. We've been waiting for them to take over defensively. We've been waiting for Johnny to break out. I thought that was the best 2 games of 2K that Dimes has played all year in either game.
I saw FIBA Dimes kick into the mix.
Absolutely. That was the best we've seen Dimes play all year. The Bucks just rode his and Johnny's incredible 2-man game. I thought Dawsix and Retro also hit a new level tonight. That was really good. I thought Retro was great. I thought he was awesome in that second game. He really stifled Scorio's scoring ability. They didn't really get a lot of paint points, I thought, throughout the night. The only piece of this Bucks team that's still missing is CP. Yeah. He hasn't really found his role on this team yet. But I feel like against the Warriors, he's going to have to figure it out, like, fast. Because they can't play 4-on-5. Johnny was good enough to beat the Pacers tonight because that Pacers team was just okay. They weren't a great team.
Yeah.
They were a good team. They got put together, a couple trades here and there. They were fine. It's a fine 2K League playoff team. But, like, they can't beat the Warriors with the way that they played tonight. Even if that was a great series for them.
There needs to be some, like, confidence instilled into CP, because I keep brought it up. I noticed it a lot when they played their in-person game against the T-Wolves. He will make a move. If he keeps going deeper into the wings is where I've noticed it, he would have a shot.
Yeah.
His issue is he might dribble deeper in there. He could have had it, but he hesitated. And that little split hesitation makes it to where it's covered. Then he picks up the ball. They reset. Then they go over to Johnny. And it's like a flip-flop back and forth. If he just had the confidence of being able to shoot those in-between shots, the man might average like 20-plus points per game. But the issue is with him, he doesn't have that, like, scoring instinct. Like, I feel like we've seen glimpses of it here and there, but unless he's getting himself some easy ones, and it's just, that's the toughest part, is that you can't get easy ones.
He reminds me, I don't mean to put this omen on him, he reminds me so much of Kenny Zeus, which is like, you're staring at this guy, he's making these great moves, and he just doesn't have the confidence to finish it, and you're like, dude, if you had 10% more confidence, you'd be one of the 10 best point guards in the league. And it's infuriating to watch, because he's very talented. He's got a great vision, he's a good passer, but he has no confidence shooting the basketball right now, and it's a problem. They're going to need him to hit a new level in that Warriors game, and I don't know if he has it in him.
Oh man, like I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, one, like it's a scorching hot Warriors anyway, and while I think that Johnny and Dimes are capable of doing exactly what they did, I don't think that Dawson. I mean, that game 2 stretch where Dawsix had 4 steals in a row in a quarter.
He's a legend.
I haven't seen a lockdown change the game like that all year. Realistically, we've seen it over the past few years. Like, there's these stretches that lockdowns could go on. He was getting steals, scoring, stealing again, scoring. Like, just everything was just
He's barely even a lockdown anymore, man. He's just Dawsix. Like, it's crazy how much different he plays than almost any other lock in the league. All right. Let's actually transition, because I want to finish my food. Let's transition into the preview for tomorrow night. We'll start with the Warriors-Bucks. Obviously, the Warriors... They're the Warriors. We don't need to spend a million years on how good this team is. Give me a percentage chance. Do you think the Bucks have to win?
I'll go. I don't want to choke. Give me 20%.
20% chance. I'll give you 15.
Okay.
I think, man, Johnny probably played his best series of 2K tonight of the year, which was great. So did Dimes. The Pacers, man, their defense fell apart down the stretch in that series. The Warriors defense will not allow Johnny Red to get wide open threes 7 times a game. And they're not going to allow him to hit 4 or 5 of those wide open threes. I think CP is going to have to have the best series that he's ever had in his life. I think all 5 of them are probably going to have to. I think it is a 2-0 Warriors sweep. As much as as happy as I am that the Bucks look better, I don't know if that series they looked good enough for me to say, yeah, they're going to beat the Warriors.
Let me get a game 3.
Then game 3,
I think the Bucks will still
man.
win.
They did steal a game off the Warriors last year. I think they forced that one to 3, and then they got blown out in game 3.
I could see in typical fashion of a team having a bye, the Bucks come out, take game 1, but then like the Warriors just do what they did. Was it in the
Against
tournament
the
against the
T-Wolves?
T-Wolves? They like maybe get beat, and it's kind of like, oh well, here's the Warriors on the ropes, and then they win by double digits both the games.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about T-Wolves Pistons, my favorite series of the night. The double 5-out teams, two teams that play okay defense. T-Wolves better than the Pistons. I think the Pistons offense is better than the T-Wolves. Both teams shoot a metric fuck ton of threes. It is going to be a crazy game from the perimeter. Very excited to see the final scores of these games. I think the absolute 100% ultimate X factor for this entire series is Tutok. Mm-hmm. We have not seen his best ball yet. We saw one good game. We saw that one great game. I think it was against the Warriors where he had like 30 points. That was like I think the best game he played all year. I'm gonna need 2 of those or 3 of those. I'm gonna need Tutok at his absolute peak best because Bear alone cannot beat this Pistons team.
Yeah.
Bear alone will be tortured. He will be put in a cage. He'll be put in the rack, and they will just split him in half. Tutok is gonna have to take over. He's gonna have to have a number 2 overall pick legacy series because I actually think, as weird as it is to say, I think the Pistons are the favorites to win this series, even though they're the lower seed. I think the Pistons walk into this as the hotter team, probably playing the best with the better overall roster. And I think the T-Wolves are going to have to pull something out of the hat here to win.
Oh, man.
We've also have not seen, I don't think all year, I don't think we have seen 2 5-out teams play like this.
No,
so I really have no idea what to expect. I don't know what to expect.
These are the 2 teams that like set the tone of how 5-out needs to be ran at the highest level.
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, if you just like look going down the list, I think Ant is over Bear to Beast. Beast move over Tutok. Whatstick and Range, Whatstick, Iggy Mo and Connor. Definitely, I give it to Iggy Mo this year. I think that Mana, I mean, it's crazy. Mana didn't even do good today. They didn't get him involved really at all.
Didn't need him. They were so money from 3.
Yeah.
They were so good.
I don't know. I do give the edge to the Pistons. I think it'll be a close one. My only concern is that with how good Iggy Mo has been with shooting and how the Pistons have those lapses, I could see like a legacy
Range
Iggy Mo
too.
game.
Range has a great year shooting the ball.
I could see a legacy game from either corner, and I think it's whoever's in the left corner, which I believe is Range.
Yeah, Range is in the left corner.
I think it'll be close. I think the Pistons will edge it out, but I think it'll be. I'd be shocked if this is a sweep, and I'd be shocked if it was a blowout in the sweep.
I got Pistons in 3. I think the first 2 games will be blowouts going the other way. I think Pistons will blow them out game 1. I think the T-Wolves come back out, blow them out in game 2, and I think game 3 is going to be a certified hood classic. I think it's going to be one of the best game 3s of all time.
Word to Dom 2K.
Word to Dom 2K. I am so excited for a potential game 3 of these 2 teams. This to me feels like the final countdown, where you have the 2 greatest 5-out point guards in 2K League history in an absolute gotta have it, must win spot. We'll never have anything like this ever again from a 5-out perspective. We'll never have teams matched up like this in this kind of insane, dramatic spot in the Western Conference Finals on the line kind of way. We'll never have anything like this again. So I'm gonna. What did Martin Tyler say? Watch it, drink it in. You'll never see anything like this ever again. That's me. That's gonna be me tomorrow. I will be Martin Tyler. I can't wait. All right. Anything else on Pistons T-Wolves, or should we move to the East?
Move to the East.
All right. what's a series? Right, Raptors Celtics. I think this is going to be a snooze fest. I think this is going to be a really boring 3-game series, and
Celtics sweep.
Ooh, Celtics sweep.
The Raptors have shown me nothing convincing since the tip-off. They have shown me nothing convincing. Meanwhile, the Celtics,
they play great ball, man.
They've only gotten a trillion times better throughout the turn making that run. I think like we are finally seeing the Celtics hit that point. Mm-hmm. The one that we had been waiting on since the beginning.
You and I both
fives.
called them contenders. We had them as contenders in our little predictions
I think that they're finally taking it to that next level, and the person to take them to that next level we had been waiting on was like, where the fuck is 630? Like, where the fuck is he not playing as good? Like, this is a MVP guy, like an all-time great.
He straight up did not pick up the game, and it took him like a full tournament. Then he's like, right, I remember how to play.
So I think with him, I'm telling you, I think the Celtics are the real deal. I think that out of all the teams left, I think the Celtics are the favorite to go to the finals.
Wow.
We keep bringing up this conversation. I think, again, when you're really good remotely, you're good remote.
Sure.
If you've had multiple times in person to where you have not been able to do anything, what makes me think that you're going to do it on the biggest stage possible? So I don't have faith in the Heat, and I just don't think the Cavs have the firepower to keep up with them. So yeah, I think the Celtics will sweep this, and again, I also have them going to the finals.
It's so crazy because 630 is he's the two-way demon that franchise has been looking for 6 years. For 6 years, either to partner with Fab or to replace Fab since he's left. They've been waiting, praying for him. And they gave up a lot to get him. They gave up a pretty hefty draft haul for 630, and it's completely worth it. He is he the best player on that team, or is Lecce still number one for you? Because he's been great. His assist to turnover ratio since like the middle of the turn is like 7 to 8. It's crazy.
I still gotta say Lecce, because he's been doing it all year.
He's so good.
And
he's probably my biggest draft miss of all time. I never saw anything close to this when I scouted him. Nothing even close to this level. He's so good.
I don't think anybody expected him to be.
People told me,
I don't think anybody expected this leap that he's taken now this year.
So people told me that after his first season that he was going to make a leap like this. So I'll give that to the people in my chat. But when we were going through the draft process and I had him as a tier 3 guy, people were telling me like, man, you should have him like tier 2. Like he could be like a good late round point guard. And I'm like, I kind of throw him in with like the other dudes.
Yeah.
No, he's special. That kid's good. That kid's real good.
Yeah,
he's so quiet too for a point guard. It's like he's like, do you know who he is? He's like Bizarro Antoine.
Well, what's weird is that
it's just
he's
as quiet.
But we do a listen. He's non-stop talking. He's quiet around everybody else, but like he takes over the listening.
It's crazy. It's a very interesting dynamic. I'm a big fan.
I say he's the best player on the team right now, but like 630's creeping. He's very, very close.
I also want to give a shout out to Crizzy, who I think over the last 4 to 5 weeks has taken a real leap at the power forward position that I don't think is getting talked about a lot. I think him and Tezo have hit a level defensively that I'm not sure if there's another power forward in lock like that. Obviously, the Warriors, you could throw it in there, but like outside of the Warriors, I'm not sure if there's any other lockdown power forward that's doing what Tezo and Crizzy are doing right now.
You can't forget Colton Clark.
Oh, Colt's been great, man.
The face
of the league. I'm going to take the Celtics in 3. I think Antoine Love will get a game against this team just because he's amazing. That team is still good. I don't think they have the dogs to get past the Celtics. I'll take the Celtics.
Are they going to say no? Warriors probably going to be the stage.
Oh yeah,
game,
Warriors
right?
Bucks on stage. All right, last but not least, probably the most. I'm going to use a word here. This is the most titillating matchup. Oh, you think it's a sleepy matchup? I think this is a titillating matchup. You have two teams, both in the same conference, who are complete polar opposites in the way that not only do they play, but the way that they think about basketball. The Heat want to go fast. They want to speed you up. They want to force you into mistakes. They want to get up a ton of threes. They want to attack you. The Cavs are the inverse Heat. The Cavs just kind of sit back and wait, like an ant lion who's just kind of chilling in their hole, waiting for a poor little ant to fall down, and then they just snap them up, and wham! All of a sudden, you're dead. That's the Cavs. I just wonder who's going to give first. Are the Cavs going to force the Heat to play slow, or are the Heat going to force the Cavs to play fast? Because whoever dictates the tempo of this game, I'm actually pretty sure this is the fastest-paced team in the league in Heat Check Gaming versus the slowest-paced team in the league in Cavs Legion. I wonder who's going to force who to play at which speed. Because whoever decides the speed of this game is going to win.
I think with what we just saw from the Cavs in their preparation against the Wiz, they're going to be coming in very prepared against Heat Check Gaming. And by that, I mean when you've looked at Heat Check Gaming struggle, it is limiting Kai's 3 looks every single time.
Sure.
If it's forcing buckets down low, cool. We'll play a scrappy, grinded out 2-point game constantly. And I think that's what they're going to do. I don't think it's going to be, another Kai where he just goes out there, drops 30. I think that you're going to be playing people who are going to be chasing him off that 3-point line every single chance that they can get. And, and we've also seen it too, like when, was it in the turn? Because we were talking about the MVP voting, right? And we're like, man, like this would be huge for Saucy if he goes out there.
Yeah.
When you take Saucy's 3 away, like when you have the defense just right, you have the shading correct to where even though he's a popper, you can still guard him down low and still come up. And when you make him a non-factor with his playmaking, that's what gets you the win. Yeah. I think the Cavs are going to come so prepared for something like that with Kai and him. Because if you limit both of them, no one else is taking over that game and winning it by themselves.
I'm going to take the Heat in 3, mostly because as the captain, leader, deity of the Shoot More Threes club, for how many threes the Cavs do shoot, I cannot, with a good conscience, put a team whose offense is that bad into the finals.
Yeah, I'm going to go with
I'm going to go Heat in 3.
I'm going Cavs in 3.
Ooh.
Because, like to your point, based on numbers, Kai is due to have a fucking masterclass game,
yes.
But he's only going to get one of them in the series.
I think he's going to get one. I think we're going to get a Tay masterclass because they're going to put Shift A on Kai, and it's going to be Tay versus Killy. And respectfully to Killy, who's been good this year defensively, Tay is starting to hit a bit of a streak here, and we saw this during the turn where his confidence is at an all-time high, but his floor vision has taken a huge step. His passing has been crazy. He's so low turnover. He's so efficient shooting the ball. And if you look at that Wiz series, for as good as B-Rich is, he's still at the end. He is a sharp. That is a sharp. He's a sharp at the 2. Tay is a combo guard. He's a low usage combo guard. He's a very weird player, but I feel like he's the perfect key to unlock that Cavs defense. If he has a big series, I think the Heat win.
Cavs in 3.
Cavs in 3. I got Heat in 3. All right, so I got Heat in 3, Celtics in 3, Warriors in 2, and I took the Pistons. Did I take Pistons in 3?
Yeah, we both took Pistons.
Pistons in 3.
So I have everything the same except I have the Celtics sweeping.
Yep.
And I have the Cavs in 3.
Dude, this Eastern Conference, man. I said it during our pregame show that like this conference anybody can win, but like sometimes when you say that, you kind of say it like tongue in cheek, like yeah, anybody can win the conference.
But like that's the thing is that you look at this conference like wow, it's cool that there's competition to see who's going to come out of the East, but you sit there and it's like whoever's in the West is going to win.
Yeah, honestly, that's kind of where I've landed too. I think whoever comes out of the West is going to win the title.
They have to.
Honestly, it feels the exact. Again, I keep bringing it back to the real life Boston Celtics. I feel the same way about the West/Warriors as I did about the Celtics all year, which is that it doesn't really matter who comes out of the West because the Celtics are probably just going to win anyway.
The craziest thing though about all this is that with us now being in conferences. The Warriors are the only team in the West to play Eastern Conference teams.
Yeah, they're the only ones who have
They've
tried.
played 2 of them, 2 that are going to be squaring off in the first round. That's where maybe I give the edge. I'm like, it's really a toss-up because the difference in play styles. And when we've watched Warriors Gaming Squad play against these Eastern Conference teams, it's not just been easy breezy every single game. Like, they get pushed to their limits sometimes. I've even seen them when they're doing like the little warm-ups and they're scrimmaging teams from the East. There's just something about the style that they struggle with a little bit compared to what we see out there in the Western Conference.
It forces the Warriors to play very straight up, which against the West they don't have to do because you have all these weird stylistic teams that kind of play defense, but they all want to play fast, and the Warriors are like, how about we don't do that?
Yeah.
And the Eastern teams are like, cool, we'll wait until there's 4 seconds left in the shot clock to get a shot off. What are you going to do about it? Yeah. Like, it's just a weird combo. All right. Any final notes?
Shout out to the Warriors. They were wearing the what's the WNBA?
The Valkyries. Yes. Oh, it looks great. That's the first time I've seen that branding. It looks awesome.
I was so cool. That's the first thing I caught my eye. I was like, that looks dope. And then I saw them CB13 when he had his MVP, and they did a little content shoot with the WNBA.
Are they the Golden State Valkyries?
It's got to be, right? I mean,
I'll be honest. I'm obviously a big fan of Norse mythology. I love God of War. I love the Thor movies. I've read a ton about Norse mythology just in my high school days. The Valkyries is an unbelievable team name. 15 out of 10 team name.
It is the Golden State Valkyries.
Oh, that's sick.
And
that is a fantastic
And they got
name.
the Globo Gym colors, purple
That's
and black.
amazing. That's such a amazing branding. I love that. Golden State Valkyries, that's badass. I like that. I'm a big winner. All right. Yeah, no more notes.
Nothing.
We'll see everybody tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Hopefully tomorrow's playoffs will be as fun as today was. Adios.